if you ever see a kid out in public who's like throwing a tantrum on a floor in the middle of a store or something, what's the first thought that comes to your mind?
The kid needs spanking.
Say it in the microphone.
The kid needs a spanking.
That's what Hunter even says, doesn't she? That kid needs a spanking.
Hello, everyone. We are Greg and Jackie Francis, and welcome to High Performance Parenting, where our passionate goal is to encourage you to raise champion children in a crazy world. Every week, we will bring you multiple episodes from our extensive experience of raising our six happy, healthy, successful, godly kids who are confidently equipped to win big in life.
We deeply believe that any parent who is provided with the right knowledge and continuous support can raise amazing kids. And when they do, all of our futures get better. If raising up future generations of absolute champions matters to you as much as it does to us, here's how you can contribute. Like and share this podcast with everyone you know. And together, let's embrace this journey of raising champion kids in a crazy world. Okay, we're back. Part 2 of me having a wonderful conversation about what discipline has been like in this house, especially when you guys were little. And I was just explaining how I would bring you guys into a room and I would get a spanking stick, and then I would just tap you on your behind, right? And then you'd start just, you'll go crazy. And then I'd let you kind of gather yourself a little bit. And then I don't know if you guys really remember this, but I would take you by your little cute little hands, and I would say, okay, we're gonna pray now, okay? And I would, when you were little, I would just have you repeat me because I know you know what to say. When you got a little bit older, I'd have you actually do it. But basically, the prayer was, Lord God, forgive me, right? I'm sorry that I did whatever, and that was pretty much the prayer, you know. And then we'd say, oh, amen. And then I remember it would always take a minute, and you're still standing there, you know, kind of like shocked and kind of like trying to recover. And I can see your little minds trying to grab a hold of what just happened. And should I feel guilty now? Should I not feel guilty? Should I, you know, walk out of this room and still feel bad about this? And you know, part of what our process always was that we would have an explanation of identity. You didn't even know this was happening, but we did it all the time. It would be like, hey, Abbie, I know you've been stealing mints, okay? But I need to explain to you something. You are a super honest person. That is who you are. You are designed that way. God made you in his image. So you are not a person that steals. So what you were doing, do you understand I had to discipline you because you were doing something that isn't who you are? And I could see in your little minds, it would start clicking like, you're right, I'm not a person who steals, you know? And I'd be like, and just so you know, we heard you say, you're sorry. And in our family, that means when you say you're sorry, that the standard is restored. And what that means is we don't hold this over you again. We're not going to talk about it later. We're not even going to joke about it unless it's like now, you know, however many years later, and we're just having fun with it. But not around then, because we don't want you picking up some level of thinking, wrong thinking, that you have some identity, there's something wrong with you, right? And so, and then the last step would be, once we did that, I don't know if you remember this, but usually it was like we would get playful. It would be a lot of hugging up on you. It'd be a lot of maybe even almost tickling on you. If you were still kind of emotionally like crying and stuff, it would be a lot of just hugging up on you, you know? But I would typically wait until you kind of calm down, and then I would maybe tell a little joke with you, or I would do something just so you could realize that we don't have to, there's no issue here anymore, right? And so then we would both walk out and we'd both wipe our tears, you know, and then we'd go on about our day. And that was it. So what part of this do you guys remember? Just like, there's parts that you don't remember, I should say.
Well, I remember getting the thing itself. And then I do remember praying. I feel like we'd go on that, like in that guest bedroom, we'd go on that like little like couch thing, but it was like the flatter one. And then you'd hold my hand. Yeah. And then we'd pray. And then I remember when we'd go out, I feel like I do remember when you hugged me and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And then you'd go out, you'd say sorry. And then mom would be like, it's okay. You know, and then
we might need to go out and then and you'd have to apologize to mom.
Restore
too.
the standard with mom. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it'd be you know, or mom, but I feel like mostly it was you who did it.
Yeah.
And then we'd go out and apologize. And then I remembered life just moved on from there. There's
Yeah.
nothing else to it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that a lot of times it was me, but it's probably unique for other families out there. Mom was always willing to, and she needed to be. Because one of the things you don't want is only have one parent be the disciplinarian. Because if they are, then that kid can start fearing the one who is, or they might start almost hoping they don't come home from work.
Yeah.
And we don't want that either. But I was typically, my situation was unique because I always worked from home. Mm-hmm. So I was always around. A lot of dads are like at work or whatever, you know. So what were you going to say, Ellie?
Well, I remember when it was done, I would come out and then all the kids would go around me and say, "Did it hurt? Did it hurt?" It was really funny.
Probably especially Drew, so.
Yes, he went right up to me, looked me straight in the eye. He's like, "Did it hurt?" It was so funny.
That's the perks of having a big family. There's no alone time in our house, like ever. So you'd have to go through the situation, then you'd have to go explain the situation right, multiple times over. How funny. Okay, do you remember any times you got spanked?
Yeah, I remember almost all of the process. My favorite time was when you started tickling me, and then it felt like it was good.
So, and you were starting to say that one time when I did it, it didn't feel like anything.
Oh, yeah. I think I remember one time I was so surprised. I was getting the spanking and I knew it. I was bent over. Dad did it. I'm like, that didn't hurt. I think I was so astonished.
You didn't know if you should pretend like it did hurt?
Probably. I was so like, whoa.
What did you say?
Sometimes I pretended it hurt because I remember once I didn't cry and then you did it again. So I just pretended to cry after that. So I never had to get it again.
So here I am, your little butt's right here, and I just like slap my own leg. And you're like, whoa! I'm like, Ellie, I didn't even hit you. You guys are smart. Wow. Okay. Good to know.
We learned our lessons still.
Yeah, you learned your lesson. Okay. What else? What else do you remember about? Let me ask you this. How effective do you think it was?
I think for me, it's very effective, especially at the end when I knew everything was restored. Because I don't like the conflict of it in the first place. When I crossed that line, I'm like, oh, shoot. Mm-hmm. This is not going to be good. So then when we actually got through it, and it wasn't like a big, long process. It wasn't like this big, dramatic thing. It wasn't like, oh, my gosh, everybody look, Abbie's about to go get a spanking.
Yeah,
I'm like, it was just a really quiet thing. We would shut the doors. So it wasn't like we had a whole audience watching me get a spanking over here.
If there could be, Drew's would have been.
Yeah. But I remember it was just me and you or the mom that would do it, and we'd shut the door. It'd be nobody else in there, and it would just be really quick. It wasn't like you guys took like 40 minutes trying to do this whole ceremony of a spanking. I just remember it was like really quick, and once it was over, and we walk out the doors and it'd be done. You know, even if you had the tears in your eyes, you knew it was okay. It wasn't like you were holding that guilt anymore. It wasn't like you were feeling like less than. You knew that the standard was restored, and you're okay with mom or dad or whoever disciplined you, and then you were okay once you apologized to the other parent. And I just remember like you both had a unity about it, and it was just like you both were like, it's okay. It's not like one parent's going to hold a grudge and the other one isn't. It was like you both were like, it's going to be okay. And I just remember it was a really great way. Instead of like having like a 30-minute timeout or something like that, I feel like I wouldn't feel much better after that. I'd still feel bad, or I'd be like, that wasn't that bad. I can do it again. You know what I mean? I could see both ways. But with like a spanking, you knew it was the wrong way to take about something. You knew it was the standard. And then once you crossed that line, you knew it was like, oh, I actually did make a mistake. Yeah. So this is the way to fix it. This is like the easy fix for us kids to fix it all, you know, because it was just in our home when it happened, or it was out in public, you know, but we do it when we get home. It was always at home in a room where it wasn't embarrassing to us. It was just so we can have that moment and get that out. And then we say our sorries knowing that everything's going to be okay because we said sorry and we knew we got out all of our feelings and we knew everything was going to be okay.
It was typically at home. Once, I think it was at a Panera Bread. We had to take we had to take one of you guys, maybe Drews or you, because you two were usually going at each other in public, right? And I remember at one point we had a spanking stick in every glove box of every vehicle we had.
And did Mom have one in her purse?
She had her purse too. That's when you guys were really little, man. Like we had almost have one in a holster, you know. What were you gonna say, Ellie?
I remember before it happens, I remember once, like, sometimes we had to wait for Dad to get home in order to do it. So I remember going to my room and praying, God, make them forget what I just did. Never let them remember this and I won't get it. It never worked, but he did it to my prayer.
Oh, man. That's funny. We tried to not make it wait too long, you know, but sometimes I remember, like, Mom would be like, I've done this a couple of times. I need you to step in. And I wasn't going to be home for a little bit. And those were probably the worst ones because you guys probably had to just sit there. You're just waiting for the door to open, you know.
Yeah, and then Mom's still mad at us. We're like, I don't know what to do.
I know, but thankfully you never prolonged it to the next day. It was always that day at least.
Yeah,
It was like not holding the grudge all night. You're in your bed. It wasn't like that. But what was it when we did it in Panera? What were you saying?
I don't even remember. It's peanut butter and jelly over here. Probably arguing over mac and cheese or something. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure that we corrected them to stop doing something. And then they did it again right away, you know? Because what would happen is you guys are funny. So one person would do it. Let's say it was Drew's, okay? He would do something that was kind of ornery with you. And then you'd get upset about it, right? And then I would warn you guys, but now you almost felt like you had to get him back. So then you know, he almost got a free one, and you wanted to give one, give it back. And then the second one happened, then you'd get in trouble. Right?
Yeah, it wasn't fair. He always did it first.
I don't know about always.
Almost.
Almost, maybe. I'll have to interview him and see what his perspective is.
Yeah.
I bet he has a little different perspective. But okay, so that was how we would discipline. Let me ask you, how many spankings do you think you got?
Maybe like 3 or 4.
Yeah, I was going to say probably 3, maybe 4.
Yeah.
Okay, you may be a few more than that. You're at least a double digiter, I would think, right? I'm trying to think. What do you think the other kids got? I would say you probably got the least, Abbie.
Really?
Yeah.
I think Drew's got the most.
What about Chrissy?
For sure, Drew's got the most.
What do you think Chrissy got?
Chrissy probably was about like you. She likes to push, you know, and she's just such a choleric personality to begin with, and has been. I mean, of all of our kids, you know, you don't fully know a kid's personality till they get a little bit older. Chris, you knew from the time she was like 8 months old. You knew her personality. She was always serious, always direct. You know.
What's that word?
Huh?
What's that word?
Yeah.
She's like, I don't need to chat anymore. Just tell me what the word is on the book.
Oh man, Bella was actually probably the most stubborn initially, right? And she was one that I actually had to go through some seasons of repetitively disciplining her before she got the point that I am going to outlast you, right? Like I had to, they call it like breaking the Mustang, you know what I mean?
Didn't she have a problem with eating broccoli once or something like that?
That one was really bad. Oh my gosh. That was a battle for sure. She was just fighting because you know how Bella is. Like she's quiet, but she is like stubborn when she wants to be, you know. And she had to learn it. I'm more stubborn. Okay. What else? Do you remember any other times or any other situations? For even of the other kids, do you remember any other times?
Well, me and Juris would we were best buds at a young age that we would hang out. I mean, I remember once skipping my homework just to play with Drews, and then we would get on this pact that we would do it together, and then we both skipped homework for the year. And then we would go, Mom, we did it yesterday. We're going to play outside.
Wow. You had an organized effort for it.
Yes.
I know, because you guys have like an hour and a half of schoolwork a day.
Yeah.
Not like 10 hours, like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Cutting into your playtime.
Yes. We didn't have enough time to play that day, so we thought we needed more.
Oh, man. You guys are funny. Okay. What else? Anything else from the other kids?
Drews used to hide and steal stuff under his pillow.
He did. I remember. If you couldn't find something, just go check under that kid's pillow, because he was like hoarding stuff down there.
Yeah.
He was making a collection
He once stole my favorite doll.
just to see if he could.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you, just for you guys, so you know, a couple of critical components of this are, if you ever see a kid out in public who's like throwing a tantrum on a floor in the middle of a store or something, what's the first thought that comes to your mind?
The kid needs spanking.
Say it to the microphone.
The kid needs a spanking.
That's what Hunter even says, doesn't she? Like, that kid needs a spanking. I'm like, you're right. That's why they do that. Because I usually ask Hunter, if any of you kids did that, what would happen? Oh, we'd get a spanking.
A spanking times 2.
Oh, yeah. And it would be fast. It would be marched down to the car. We'd either grab mom's spanking stick out of her purse or out of the glove box. Right? What do we do with them all? We still have probably 10 of them somewhere.
I have no idea, but I remember as I got older and I didn't need them anymore, but I still remember finding them in some drawers when I was around the house. I was like, oh.
And you're like, it brings back all these emotions again.
It felt like every room had a spanking, so there was always eyes on you. And when I looked at the drawer, there was a spanking stick.
We should have put them up on the wall like this and drew a face on it with the kind of eyes that always look like they're following you.
It needs its own wall with all the spanking sticks.
Oh, man. You guys are great. All right. On to the next episode. Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening, and thanks for your love and support. We hope that today's episode added tremendous value to you and your family. It would mean so much to us if you would partner with us on our mission of helping parents around the globe raise champion children in this crazy world.
To do so, simply take a moment to like and share this podcast with everyone in your network. See you next time.